to prepare for tonight's meeting, the candidates were provided 7 questions that were approved by the nominating committee. Those should be on your agenda. If you don't have an agenda, they're over here. You can grab one. If anybody else is online and listening in, those are on the website. You can go for those. So let's get to in front of the candidates, there is a bowl. All right, and it contains all 7 questions. And in that bowl, I would ask that you choose 4 questions at random, just pull 4 out. And I'll go ahead and wait till you get your 4 out of there, and I'll tell you what to do with them. Only get 4.
Make sure it's on.
Everybody's got 4 in front of them? Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you to do is to go ahead and read the 4 questions. Read the 4 questions, and then you get to determine which 3 you want to answer in a round robin session. And just put the 4th one off to the side, okay? And then after you have read and selected the 3 questions that you want to answer, then I would ask you to place them in priority. In other words, which one would you want to answer first? And then which one would you want to answer second? And which one you don't want to answer third? And again, put the 4th one off to the side. So I'll give you a little bit of time there to make that. Looks like Cassie's close. Natalie's still thinking. Mark's still deciding, and it is still thinking. Okay, that's okay.
So we have 2 minutes for each question?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I was gonna let them know once they.
Are you gonna let them know about the pedals?
What's that?
Green means go, yellow is 60 seconds left, red 15 seconds.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, the candidates have seen all 7 of these questions prior. The committee approved them and they were sent out by administrative director. So these are not, they've seen the questions. Okay, how are we doing here? We all set? Nope, okay. Okay, Dan, you're set?
Yes.
Mark, you still, you good to go? Yeah. Okay, and Natalie?
Yep.
And Cassie? Okay, all 4 ready to go. So again, we'll do rotating order. It'll be directed by the staff. I think you have in front of you the rotating order. We're gonna start with Ms. Foot, if I'm not correct. Okay. You'll have 2 minutes to answer the question. So what I would ask you to do is to read the question and then provide your 2 minutes or less response. Okay.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think what the Lake Ridge Board does well, and what do you think the board can improve upon? I think the Lake Ridge Board does a very good job of communicating with the community. And what do I think we can improve upon? Communicating with the community. Because it's like the old game of communication. If you've ever had management courses, you never can communicate well enough. So there's always room to improve. I think with our Lake Ridge Today, with our emails to everyone, with our e-blasts every week, we've made a particular effort over the past 5 years or so to really communicate with the community. Everything is published on lakeridgeva.gov. .com. So you can go up there and see all the financial reports. You can see all the committee reports. You can see all the minutes. Most of you may not know this, but other communities do not have that visibility for all the community, but we can do better in the future, and we're looking for ways to do that. We will be using more, I hope next year, more surveys to get more input and more people on committees that represent homeowners, if we can get everybody interested in volunteer. Thank you.
Mark?
What is your vision of Lake Ridge for the next 5 to 10 years? We're an extremely transient community with all the government and military families we have in the area. On Mount Airy Court, where I live, we've gained 3 new families in the past year. And I think it's time to update the community survey that was done back in 2019 and do that survey across the entire membership to better understand what their desires are regarding our amenities. I would like to drive conversations pertaining to the strategic vision for a community and then put those conversations into action. The practical approach I would use to go about doing this is through short-term, mid-term, and long-term capital plans. An example of this would include a short-term goal of fitness clusters in East Lake Ridge. I don't believe there are any over there. A midterm project could be a pavilion somewhere, maybe near one of the pools. And a long-range project could be to replace the replacement of one of our 50-year-old pool houses that we have. I would fund the short-term and mid-range projects through the $1 Million Capital Fund. When I was researching this answer, looking into it, I contacted the GM and was asking for our financial statements. And she directed me to the online portal, which I found them. It was very easy to navigate. I found them right there. I was a bit concerned when I saw that the last financial statement that we had done that's posted online is May of 2022. I found that a bit alarming as we're already in the second quarter of FY23. It kind of concerns me, and it kind of explains why in the September board meeting of 2022,
Hey, Mike, I think your 2 minutes are up, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Did you want to like 2 seconds? Just
No, I think we're good, yeah, I think in fairness to everybody. Natalie?
Same question as Mark. What is your vision for Lake Ridge for the next 5 to 10 years? First of all, thank you for all the improvement that has been done. I mean, navigating the web of the Lake Ridge Association is really awesome. But I'm looking even further, like everyone is always on their phone. I mean, I don't know the cost, but it would be nice to have maybe as an app. That way we could just open our app and see, okay, what swimming pool is open at this time? What activity can I register my son for, summer activities? Also more, I mean, we do have a lot of really great green park and nature friendly, but find other ways to maintain those with maybe more self-sufficient material, because every year I see behind my townhome that we come, we put mulch and find other material that will save money to the association and be more reliable, and also in general, be more out with the internet and the web and offer more to the community with camps, activities with all types of our neighbors, young and older generations, so we can meet together. Thank you.
Yes.
What do you think the Lake Ridge board does well, and what do you think the board can improve on? I want to start by saying that I've been so impressed with this board. I'm not seeking to join it because I think it's a complete failure and needs a turnaround. Quite the opposite. This is a really successful and effective board leading our community, and I'm hoping to contribute to that continued success. So you're going to hear more length on what I think they're doing well. I love the way that this board navigated a very challenging financial and operating landscape during COVID. I've been so impressed with the way that they have supported our community infrastructure with timely maintenance and upgrades. And I am very, very impressed with the way in which this board has enforced our covenants in a very thoughtful and fair manner. The ways that I would seek to improve upon the board's activities would be reducing with the goal of eventually eliminating the deficit spending from our capital reserve and subdivision reserves, and also looking to enhance resident participation in formal ways and in informal ways in the leadership of our community, so that it's not just the board taking on the leadership role. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the first round. We can now begin the second round, and I believe, Mark, you are up. First. Go ahead.
Okay, what do you think the Lake Ridge Board does well, and what do you think the board can improve on? All right, from what I can tell, I think the Lake Ridge Board did a good job in selecting the new general manager. She seems to present truthful information, even when it's not good news. I think she's been very forthright in talking about different issues that we have. The board can improve on strategic planning and the development of community involvement by creating a welcoming environment at board meetings. There are three primary areas where I think the board can make significant improvements. The first area is strategic planning. I've attended board meetings for the past 4 years and heard very few conversations about the strategic vision for our community. I hope to drive those conversations about how we move beyond talking about our aging infrastructure and how we replace it with modern infrastructure. That can, the second area is developing a sense of community. And that can be done by truly valuing our members and allowing them to ask questions to better understand the issues that face our community. Welcoming them and their questions is a primary need. The third area is term limits on the board. We have board members who have been on the board for 15 years. Our president has held the same position for the past 5 years. And I want to commend Michael Butler last year when he said that he made a commitment to not hold the same officer position for more than 1 year. This proposal is about fresh ideas that will benefit Lake Ridge for years to come. Thank you for this question.
Natalie?
What do you think Lake Ridge Association can do to increase property value? Well, from my experience, property value is also the appearance of the property from the outside, from when you drive through the streets. And what I've been facing as an owner is, difficulty with, properties. And so definitely maybe some stronger rules with respecting the Lake Ridge Association guidelines on how to keep your property presentable. Also maybe adding some, everything is always seen from the outside. So really, maybe change some of the rules to don't have any other, really just, that will be the main focus. Thank you.
Okay, Cassie?
What types of changes would you like to see in Lake Ridge, and how should these changes be paid for if appropriate? As I mentioned in my previous comments, something that I would like to change for our community would be reducing and eventually eliminating our deficit spending from our capital reserve and subdivision reserves, with the goal of enhancing our financial resiliency. That simply is paid for with the willpower to not spend more money than we're putting into the reserve each year. So in a way, it's a freebie if we can just pay for it with some budgeting constraints. Socially, in order to build that community spirit that we all love inside of Lake Ridge, I would like to introduce more volunteer events that bring the community together while also benefiting Lake Ridge itself. That might be something as simple as a trash cleanup together or a summer food drive. We might also introduce events like Touch a Truck to bring kids together to enjoy fire trucks and police cars, or bring back the Taste of Lake Ridge to help support local businesses. All of these events are low cost and could be paid for through business sponsorships that also help to promote our local businesses, and or they can be paid for with very modest admission fees. Thank you for the question.
Okay, so my second question was, what do you think the Lake Ridge Association can do to increase property values? Seems we have had a repetition. The obvious thing is to keep our homes and amenities and grounds well kept and neat. I think our covenants department does a great job of ensuring that we help homeowners understand where they need to make improvements. And I think our facilities department does an amazing job of keeping our grounds beautiful so that people driving through want to live here. But the most important thing, I think, is to promote happy homeowners who greet all visitors and newcomers with warmth and hospitality, to be a place where people want to live and raise their children. Thank you.
Okay, the last round, we'll begin with Natalie, so we'll get to their question 3. Go ahead, Nat.
Sorry. Okay, so what do I bring to the Lake Ridge Board of Directors? Well, my perseverance, I would say that, because every time I used to send an email to the association about any concern, I will not back down until the issue was resolved one way or another. New and fresh idea, since my background is tourism, hospitality, and being half European, Belgian, and American. I have quite a lot of fresh ideas, and customer service, because it's important to listen, and the Lake Ridge Association has been doing a great job listening to all of our owners, but listening to our peers and owners in the Lake Ridge Association, I think that's also important, because that's how we get things done, and we can increase the Lake Ridge Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie.
What do you bring to the Lake Ridge Board of Directors? Great question. I'll do my best not to read off a resume, because I don't think that's the kind of answer that you're looking for. I will say that in my professional life, I'm a financial planner and advisor. And in that capacity, I serve individuals, families, businesses, and nonprofits with the aim of helping them to grow, protect, and pass on their wealth. This gives me a bound of experience, both from my education for that role and my active involvement in serving my clients in financial and accounting skills that I can pass on for the fiduciary role that we take on as board members. In my free time, I mentor leaders of nonprofits and startup small businesses. I chair a grant-making committee for Junior League of Washington. I currently serve and have served in the past on many different nonprofit boards. And so I'm also bringing to the board operational expertise, especially in the area of nonprofit management and the nonprofit environment. I started my career in technology for a very large energy company. And from that experience, what I've carried with me through my career and what I will also bring to the board is my experience in making data-driven decisions, and also in a very specific way in helping to improve technology systems as we continue that transition inward. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Jen?
My third question was, Lake Ridge is comprised of families young and old. How would you cultivate a sense of community that reaches across generations? Ken Thompson, the developer of Lake Ridge, had a vision for Lake Ridge, and that was a mixed community, young and old, start out families and older people who chose to, seniors who chose to remain in Lake Ridge, and we have that. His vision has come true. But I think the way we continue to promote that is the way we have been promoting it. We promote interactive participation, like our swim club. We have a third generation family that has been teaching swim instructions in this community for years, and they continue to do so every year. It means seniors sharing their skills and their crafts with Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, whether it's crocheting or art or gardening. Opportunities for athletic coaching, which our recreation department does through year after year, and we need to continue to do that, and we're adding more activities for our youth involvement, and our older members participate. And volunteers in service to the community, like the annual Occoquan cleanup. I think we can always look for new ways to do that, to involve more people. We are constantly trying to do that in Lake Ridge, and I think we have a great mix in the community of dedicated people, and I look forward to that in the future. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about that.
Thank you. Mark?
Lake Ridge is comprised of families young and old. How would you cultivate a sense of community that reaches across generations? We're a community rich in programs across multiple generations with an emphasis on youth programs. If the question is, how do we create programs that bring young and old together in one event, I believe those events must occur organically rather than be manufactured. Laura Krause does a phenomenal job with all our programs. She is the subject matter expert for that. And if elected, I would seek to understand what the community desires and what Laura's challenges are and how the board can help facilitate her efforts in that. We're a transient community, and I believe, again, it's time to update the 2019 survey to see what the desires of the community are. And this goes back to a sense of community and the broader reach. For example, if the elderly demographic is what we're struggling to find programs for, maybe we could reach out to religious or secular groups that already serve the elderly and partner with them in the use of our community centers, yard care, snow removal, those types of things where they might need assistance in.
Thank you. Okay, we have completed the round of questions, the sample questions that were provided. Now it's your turn as members. You get to ask a question. If you're in the audience, just throw your hand up and I will call on you and then I'll point to you. If you're virtual, yes, you're first. Okay. Do we have anybody virtual other than Laura? Just Laura. Okay. So I'll say if anybody's online, they can go ahead and type in the chat box. If we only have Laura, we'll go forward. Okay, so Mr. Butler, you'll be first. So Mr. Butler will be the sample. He'll ask a question. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. So when a question is asked by a member of the audience, each one will answer that one question and they get 1 minute. So, and we'll go, the next one in order, I think, is
30 seconds and 15 seconds.
15 seconds, and then it's pretty short. I think Cassie, you're the first one up. Okay, Mr. Butler.
All right. Hi, I'm Michael Butler. Thank you for volunteering, whether you know it or not. I've signed up for a lot of work.
That's encouraging.
As a member of the board, or as a prospective member of the board, you've talked about the outcomes you want to achieve for Lake Ridge, the things you aspire to, things you want to get done. As an individual member of the board, you have no direct supervisory authority. You have no direct authority over the employees of the association. I would like to hear your perspective on how you propose to achieve the change that you inspire to achieve.
Yes, ma'am.
In my experience, one of the best ways to lead in the absence of authority, which is what we used to call it, is to look for what motivates individual people, and that can be very different across people. So maybe somebody is very motivated by the opportunity to start a new initiative. So if we wanted to start a new initiative, they're a great person to go to, and it will happen very organically. Other people might be looking for ways to alleviate some of their workload, and they would be interested in participating in something that would help them to do that. So trying to match those motivations while also at the same time doing as much work on the outset myself and with my fellow committee members in order to reduce the burden we're asking of others.
Okay. Jen, same question?
Yeah, I've found that in this community, all you have to do is ask people to participate and you'll get volunteers. We can go out with surveys and get information back, and that gives us an idea of where to start. But usually if you ask, they will volunteer. I remember when we had all the trees that were cut down in front of the Antietam Elementary School, we asked for volunteers to come together and make recommendations to the county board of construction for the school board. They did that. We had a master gardener, we had an Air Force captain, we had other volunteers, and they ended up giving us an extra $2,500 budget from the county to plant extra trees. And that's how you get people interested and involved, and you get the idea put out there.
Thank you. Mark?
All right, so my views on that is that the board is to provide governance for the staff, to provide the direction in which the community is going to go. We have a number of subject matter experts that perform an outstanding job in picking up the ball and running with it. I'll give you an example. This past year, or before this past swim season, Mark Brooks and the facilities and maintenance team did a great job in as well. I see Brody Freer back there did a great job in redoing a lot of the pools. Brody redid the cool deck around the side. If anybody wants to go on over to the pool by the office over there, it looks fantastic. They did a great job in doing all that. I think that it's the board's job to provide governance and allow the staff to do their job.
Thank you. Natalie?
Well, I agree a little bit with Jen about, when you ask the people, the employee of the governance know their job, but sometimes it's always good to listen to what are their needs to do a better job. And also, when you ask, like in my neighborhood, we just go and we ask our neighbors, okay, let's go ourselves and do some cleanup in the back to the association. But really, when you ask everyone, your neighbors or the employee of the governance, they are there to help and get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, opportunity for another member to ask a question. Brody?
Hey, good evening, hello. Good evening, all the candidates. Brody Freer, resident of the Stonegate subdivision. I've got a two-part question for each candidate. Part one, what type of property do you reside in, single family, town, condo, apartment? And part two, what amenities or recreational programs do you and your family enjoy utilizing or participating in within Lake Ridge? And try to be specific.
Okay, I think Jenny, you're up first. Let's go around.
Yeah, I reside in a single family home, and I know there's been some discussion about townhomes versus single family homes and representation on the board. I think as a resident of Lake Ridge, regardless of where you reside, you can serve well and provide input for the community. The things that I like the most are the pools and the community centers. And I thank you for keeping them so nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
I also live in a single family home. And the activities that we enjoy most are probably the pools and right up there with number one would be the trails. That we use those almost in summertime, spring, almost on a daily basis. So those are the two things that we enjoy the most.
We live in a townhome of rich view, and we really love almost every day. The weather permits the trails from where we live all the way to the Lake Ridge Marina. It's just beautiful where we live. Every day we say we are blessed. We get to see nature right there in our backyards. And it's really well maintained. So really thank you for that. We love the pool. The self badge, I think it's a great addition. It would be nice to have a survey about maybe have it open longer. Basketball, the tennis courts, the Canterbury, I don't know the name of the, but yes, basically the swimming pool area and all that. Thank you.
Cassie?
I live in a single family home in the Linwood subdivision, and it's really hard to choose our favorite activities. Honestly, we just love walking our neighborhood streets and enjoying the environment, running into neighbors, getting to smile and wave at people and love the people we live around. But if I had to pick a formal activity, we've made the visits with Santa and Mrs. Claus an annual tradition, and our children just love it. We're also a swimming family, so when our son's old enough, he'll be on swim team. My husband was a swimmer. And we do the trails also. We're an outdoor family, so yeah, I guess if I have to pick favorites, this would be one. Excellent question, thank you.
Okay, there's two. Any other members desiring to ask a question? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Cindy Everett. I live in one of the townhomes. And one of the things that struck me here, and it does affect me directly as well as indirectly, is the question about increasing property values. So I was a military spouse. I think I might have you beat on the number of years.
Probably.
As far as like for me personally, I love this area. I wanted to settle here years ago when we lived up in Springfield. I knew back then we were gonna settle farther south. The issue for me personally is a job change, and the HOA fees are kind of steady, but property values are going up, so that means my mortgage is going up.
So
And
your
spending,
question is related to,
it's basically how we can control
Okay.
the spending in the future, and at the same time, realizing that certain things need to be taken care of in a more timely manner, because I lived on Avery Way, and after we had the storms this past summer, trees were down everywhere. So they had an arborist and crew come in and cut trees down right away. I noticed something that wasn't quite right, took pictures, sent it to the email, and basically, it's one of those things that I would rather have us as a board spend money on something that could potentially negate a lawsuit because something wasn't done right. And there is a tree in that center that is weighted to one side because of branches.
okay, will you restate your question so we can?
And it's basically, the question is, how are you going to approach the property value rising, the spending, what needs to be prioritized? How is that going to affect the bottom line with our HOA's spending? But understand that it all impacts everybody, even the people that are in apartments and townhomes, and keeping that under control.
Good luck getting that done in a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
I think, Mark, I think you're first up this time around.
All right, so I'm gonna do my best to answer that. The issue with the trees and what you were talking about, I think it comes back to proper budgeting for starters. And I've seen too many times, I've seen where we've known, where we have decided, the board has decided to use a wrong number in budgeting specifically for the tree management program. They were given a report. It told them what the number should be. They selected the previous year's number, which was a known wrong number. I believe it comes back to proper budgeting. I believe that we budget in the accounts correctly, the best that we can, and we don't rely on a contingency fund as a catch-all fund, which to me looks like a contingent upon poor budgeting. So I think we budget properly.
Natalie?
I think that the Lakefish Association is doing a great job about removing trees during the storm, because every time I have addressed an issue and send a picture, they've been there, doing a fantastic job. But concerning the HOA, I strongly believe that there are other ways to generate revenue to the association. That way we wouldn't have to increase the HOA fees, just a matter of brainstorming and bringing some fresh idea and see what, but definitely also budgeting. But my goal is really not to get the HOA to increase anymore, and do whatever is necessary to keep it steady, but not increasing. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassie?
I agree with my peers that certainly this is a question of budget prioritization and making sure that we are ensuring that issues of safety are also being prioritized along with our property values. I would encourage you, if I'm a board member, to always copy me on any email if you think it's not getting the priority it deserves. I think our staff is wonderful, but everybody has that moment where an email falls down in your inbox and it can help to have an extra person have their eyes on it. Outside of that, when we're talking about general financial management, I also have that goal of being able to tack our association dues to our operating costs and then looking for outside revenues to be able to support those nice extras that we do.
Well, you can tell by the complexity of the question that it has many points that you can cover. I want to first say that over the past 3 or 4 years, our staff and our board have made extraordinary efforts in getting efficiencies of scale with multi-year contracts, reducing costs, cutting overhead. We had to be able to survive during the pandemic and maintain stability. We've gotten 2 grants, one from the state, one from the federal. And I think it's important to realize that a budget is an estimate of your projection for the coming year. A budget is not a guarantee this is what's going to happen. The incident you cited was exactly the kind of storm that happens like that. And so I think we've done a really good job. It's the lowest assessment rate in the area.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, another complex kind of thing, but.
We'll go through it.
In the area of working with outside agencies, I'm in townhome area that had the mailbox that was broken and we didn't get mail for 2 months. And it was the HOA, oh, it's the post office is the HOA, okay, HOA, we worked through it. I'm too from DOD until I know how to track down stuff down, we got it done. I see in the Lake Ridge thing, some streets belong to the HOA, some streets belong to VDOT. And if you get a call and they don't know, just keep telling them it's them and, okay. What is your vision of increasing communication with agencies, outside agencies we have to partner with to make sure that there's a clear understanding of who does what?
Okay, I think round robin, Natalie, I believe you're up first this time around.
Okay, well, as I said, since we started, I had a lot of issue in the past 20 years, but I've seen a huge improvement with the Lake Ridge Association on how responding quickly and solving the issue. But and I think even on our website, it's pretty well indicated, like who is taking care of, like if you have animal control, there's the phone numbers. But yes, like you said, yeah, making maybe more lists of phone numbers and email address with the details that you need for the post office. But usually they're pretty quick at responding and solving the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cassie?
I think this is an area where the best thing that we can do is support our staff who are doing this day to day, day in, day out, to make sure that they have the right contacts that they need, that they're being supported when they're trying to get through these agencies and say on their behalf, this work needs to be done, to make sure they're not getting a runaround, and if they are, to help in whatever capacity we can to cut through that, to get to the right solution for the right people. Thank you.
Okay, Jen?
Well, I think one of the most important things is for the board and for the staff to communicate with those officials who can make things happen. We need to keep an open, ongoing relationship with our Board of Supervisors representative, with Prince William County, those people who work with us to make our community better. And we have 7,278 single home, we have 7,278 units in this community, which means we have quite a bit of influence. The item you cited with the post office, Brody almost went insane working on that one. He can tell you that. And at times we just have to be persistent, which he was. And he's also a pretty big guy, so.
Thank you. Mark?
All right, so I think that you do have it is a complex issue because in Lake Ridge is a very diverse community. But the question that Brody asked, how many people live in townhomes? How many live in single family homes? We have apartments within the community. So there are some complex issues that a townhome person may not have that a single family home may have, and vice versa. So I think it's important for the LRPRA, is that's generally the first stop for any homeowner or any resident. If they have an issue, to call the LRPRA, call the staff, find out what's going on. I think it'd be imperative for the staff to maintain a roster of who's in charge of what in each agency. And then also inform the homeowner that may not be an LRPRA issue. It may be a townhome issue. And they're gonna try and assist you with that. But again, it's the communication and being able to let the people know who handles what.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Morgan Hale. I reside at Mount Airy Court. 2 summers back, I was employed at the maintenance department of Lapro. A tremendous amount of work goes into maintaining the community and making it look nice. What do you believe can be done to best support the maintenance department as they service the tremendous need of the community?
Can you guys hear him okay?
No, could you-
Oh, can you repeat the
Yes,
question, please?
of course, absolutely. 2 summers back, I was employed at the maintenance department of Lapro, and a tremendous amount of work goes into maintaining the community and making it look presentable. What do you, as a board member, best believe can be done to support the maintenance department as they service the community?
I think Cassie, you're up first. Let's go around.
Sure. My estimation is that what could support the department best would be listening, as Natalie is so fond of sharing, to what they see as the priorities for maintenance and upgrades in the community, since they have that on the ground firsthand experience, and then properly funding those initiatives so that they can get done. To use a very simple example, if they're having to deal with a leaky faucet day in and day out, but we keep funding them to fix the drywall somewhere, we're not helping them with the leaky faucet. Instead, we should be listening, the leaky faucet needs attention, and providing funding for that. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the most important things that we've done is provide a greater voice to the facilities and maintenance department in budgeting, so that they understand how we build it and put the requirements in that. And then they prioritize what needs to be done. We really don't tell them the difference between a leaky faucet and plaster. They make those decisions based upon their knowledge and their skills. But I also think it's really important that they provide feedback for the board to also understand if we need other requirements, like, and we asked for grants for last year, for example, during the pandemic, for plants, for more planting. So they're involved in the whole. So it's really important that not only the maintenance facility and the facilities people, but all of the departments be supported with their needs.
Thank you. Mark?
Okay, so good question. It goes back to some of the things that we've talked about earlier. And the first thing that I think is you listen to your subject matter experts. You rely on the subject matter experts, the department heads, the assistant directors. They're going to come to you and let you know what their budget requirements are. It also goes back to budget. When they tell you this is how much we're going to need, I heard a comment from one of the members of the board of directors at the December meeting that they don't know what the board of directors, we don't know what's going on. We're not down there every day. That specifically speaks to the issue of relying on your directors and your assistant directors to provide the proper numbers in the budget so that they can do what they need to do. These folks have been doing this for years. They know what they're doing. We need to let them do their job.
Thank you. Natalie?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for all the maintenance team that we have in the Acreage community, because I mean, I work from home, so I can see the work that they're doing on a weekly basis or monthly basis, and I really appreciate all the hard work that they're doing. But as my other members here have mentioned, it's important to listen, but I believe also in change. So maybe if we do more survey within the team, the maintenance team, to find out maybe there is a better way, a faster way to do something, and that we are not giving them the tools that they need to do the job. Thank you.
Okay. You started, right? Okay. Any other questions from our esteemed members? Chris?
Yes, I'd like to thank you all for stepping up and serving our community. It's something that you can always be proud of. Three of you will become members of our new board. And when you do that, you will assume some duties. And these are the duties of fiduciary duties, which I believe at least two of you are familiar with. One of those duties is the duty of loyalty. And the duty of loyalty requires that somebody asking for a job disclose before they assume that job what conflicts may exist that would affect their ability to do that job. So I just like to ask you all, if you could just tell me, yes or no, do you have any conflicts in identifying or disclosing potential conflicts of interest? So if you're, it's a yes or no answer, but of course, if it's yes, I would appreciate a short explanation.
Okay, I think Janet's up first this time.
No, I have no agenda in the community, and I have no business, and I have no conflict of interest.
Okay, Mark.
No.
No,
No conflicts of interest.
That was easy and quick. Okay.
Didn't even have a chance
We like
to
those
go.
questions. All right, anybody else have a question? Going once. Twice. Sold. Okay, here's what I'm gonna ask, since we're already into an hour, we were planning for 2 hours, however, I'm going to ask you to pull one more question out of the bowl, not the fourth one, you've already read it.
I
Pull.
just put them all back.
oh,
Well-
okay, then that's it. No
Yeah.
questions.
You said
We
three, you
Over.
said three.
Just
So
keep
I did
trying.
what I said, because we got a little bit of time, I'm gonna ask you to pull one question, if it's one you've already answered, you can pull
Throw
another.
it away,
one.
huh?
And since you went first round.
That was a curve.
What's that?
That was a curve.
That's okay. I'm the chair. I can change everything up or two. Okay, so I'll give you a few seconds to read it, and then we'll give you 2 minutes to answer this question. That'll be the end of the round of questions. Okay, let me check one thing. There's nobody else online other than Laura.
Nope, no questions in the
Okay.
chat.
There's nobody online to ask a question, so, okay. So, one question, and I'll give you 2 minutes. Let me know when you're ready, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to answer. And we'll start with, I think Mark will be first up this time.
2 minutes, right?
2 minutes.
Okay. I didn't want to mess it up.
Okay, why do you live in Lake Ridge and what does Lake Ridge mean to you? We moved to Lake Ridge for the proximity to DC and because it's a community that's rich in amenities. Lake Ridge means a deep sense of community to me. When we traveled to adopt your daughter, we were gone for 3 weeks, and before we returned home, one neighbor had shut off our outside water spigots so they wouldn't freeze. One neighbor had filled our refrigerator with food, and another neighbor had made her daughter had quilted her a handmade quilt. Where I live on Mount Airy Court, when it snows, those of us who can shovel the snow for those who can't. Lake Ridge is about neighbors helping neighbors. So it is that sense of community that's important to me as a board member, that I want to foster community involvement by encouraging residents to have a voice in the governance of our community. Residents should feel welcome at board meetings, and we need to change the tone of the board regarding how residents are treated at the board meetings. I'd like to give you an example of that. At the September 22 board meeting, a gentleman came to address the board. He lived in a townhome. He asked a question, how many people live in townhomes? And he was immediately shut down and told that that question was inappropriate. It was inappropriate for him to ask a question of the board. He just tried to get some help from his neighbors. We're all neighbors, and whoever the board members are, they're neighbors here in the community, and it's about neighbors helping neighbors. And that's where I feel like that we can make some great improvements. And that's what Lake Ridge means to me, is community and people helping each other.
Thank you, sir. Natalie?
I have the same question as Mark. Why do you live in Lake Ridge and what does Lake Ridge mean to you? Well, I really love Lake Ridge because, like you mentioned, we have a great neighborhood. We're helping one another. Like when we moved into our street, our townhome, I found out one of the neighbors did not have a car. And so and she lived by herself, so we started going grocery shopping with her. She would give me the list and I would go, and then she would cook those awesome meals. So, but that's really the community that we grew up, and our son grew up, and we really loved that about Lake, which is a sense of community. And also what I would like to see more is like during the holidays, like more gathering in our streets. We used to have that like 10 or 15 years ago, but more of a gathering, sense of gathering together in our streets. But also I mean, where we live, it's really peaceful and beautiful. And I mean, it's really it's wonderful and a blessed area to be surrounded by nature constantly. So that's really what we love about Lake Ridge, and of course, all the amenities that the Lake Ridge Association has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie.
So we all got the same question. And I love and appreciate that we all have very similar sentiments about our community, which says a lot about Lake Ridge. For me, I had to take notes because it's so hard for me to distill what it is that Lake Ridge means to me. I mentioned as an answer to Brody's question earlier that I love just walking down our streets in the neighborhood. So every day when I'm driving home from work or walking with my family, I'm just filled with this appreciation for the beautiful homes around me. And I mean beautiful homes on the exterior, but also on the interior because of the incredible people that we have as neighbors. I've had very similar experiences to Mark and Natalie of my neighbors supporting me as recently as Christmas when we were in Oklahoma. A pipe burst in our garage and our neighbors rushed in to take care of it for us. We are so blessed to get to be surrounded by those people and to have a community and an association that gives us opportunities to come together as a community. When we were talking about favorite amenities, many of us mentioned the pools, getting to come together in the summer and spend that time together. I mentioned that I love getting to go to the Santa event. It's not just because the big guy's there. It's because there are people there serving hot chocolate and taking photos, and we're talking to other family members. So to me, Lake Ridge is this beautiful place to live because of the natural environment and the well-kept homes and because of the people who truly come together as neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I didn't choose that one. I got, what is your vision of Lake Ridge for the next 5 to 10 years? And it's very simple for me. It's a vibrant community with young working families and seniors living together in an active community. It's a community that's thriving along the beautiful Occoquan with the trails and the community support that we have sustained for the past 50 years. I think that's all I could ever hope for. I would like to see us be able to improve some of the amenities. Like I'd love to see a large community center that would accommodate more than 75 people. But we're gonna have to work together as a community to be able to do that. A place where we could have weddings or graduation parties or family reunions. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the rounds of questions that we've had, both from the nominating committee and the members. I don't think of that. So as we get ready to close out the evening here, what I'd like to offer up here, or I'm going to offer up is each candidate closing remarks, 2 to 3 minutes, maximum 3 minutes, but may not take you that long. But and I think we're going to start with Natalie. You started last time, Mark? Yeah. So I think we'll start with Natalie and we'll round robin 3 minutes. Your closing remarks.
Okay. Thank you for having me tonight. What I definitely hope to bring to the boards as a board member is new ideas. I would love to see more survey to find out what is it that our community and our neighbors would like the Lake Ridge Association to, bring. And definitely find other source of revenue so we don't have the HOA fee continue going up. That's one of my main objective goals. But really, it's been 20 years of loving to live in the Lake Ridge area, and I hope to bring my enthusiasm and the knowledge that I have more into the sales and how to bring revenue to the Lake Ridge Association. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you again, everyone, for being here, for having the bravery to stand up and ask questions. We appreciate that. I hope that I've earned your vote to serve you on the board of our neighborhood association. My goal is to build on the strengths that already exist in our community. Our well-maintained amenities and common areas that are there for all of us to enjoy and build that sense of community. Our attractive private properties that instill a pride in our neighborhood and rising property values that benefit all of us, as well as a variety of accessible social events for all ages that again bring us together as a community and give us an opportunity to be more than just homes next to each other, but really neighbors. I have mentioned my goal of fortifying our financial position by reducing and hopefully someday eliminating our deficit spending inside of our reserve funds. And I hope to support us continuing to invest in maintaining and upgrading the various infrastructure that we have, both the physical infrastructure and the natural infrastructure of our community. I love where I live and I want to help everyone love where they live too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chad.
It would be an honor to be allowed to continue to serve you in the community. I feel like I have demonstrated a commitment to the community without a personal agenda, and that I have been able to be active in advancing some pretty bold initiatives. For example, we secured a grant, and I was part of that initiative, of $100,000 from the state of Virginia and another $700,000 from the federal government to help tide us over and make us financially stable during the pandemic. I was asked by the board to develop our first strategic plan with Barbara Ramey, and the two of us did. We coordinated with the whole community, put the input together, and then the board voted on it and approved it. I championed the very first all-community survey, which was led by Martha Nelson. And it was all community members. There was no one off the board on it. And it included our people from our employees. One of our employees, Brody's, was on that committee. So I have the capacity, I have the experience, and I have the knowledge of LAPRA. I remember the first year that I served on the board, I realized there's a lot to learn. And all the things that we think we can do, we find that there are laws that prohibit certain actions that we would love to take if we could wave our magic wand. So thank you for the opportunity for the past few years to represent you. If you feel that I have contributed to the community, I would be honored to have your vote this coming year.
Mark.
All right, I would like to thank all those in attendance tonight. I especially want to thank the staff, not only for setting this up tonight, but also for what you do every day for our community. I know it's a monumental effort to keep Lake Ridge running, and you all make it appear seamless. I've had 3 family members work at Lake Ridge, from working at the pools during the COVID compliance in 2020 to working in the facilities and maintenance department. And my wife served as the assistant finance director. She spent countless hours working into the evening to get the financials ready for timely delivery to the board and prepare for audits. My son told the stories of hauling dead deer from the woods and emptying the dog waste cans as part of the maintenance staff. So I understand, maybe better than most, the effort it takes from the staff to keep things running here. And the work you do, the work that you do, is what drives our home values. And I truly thank you for that. I'd like to summarize why I'm running for the board and what I hope to accomplish if elected. You heard me speak tonight about community and how important that is. Neighbors serving neighbors. And that is what I believe that being a board member is all about. I want to foster an atmosphere at the board that is inclusive for members, a place where they can have a voice and voice those concerns without being dismissed. It's about proper stewardship of our community and our financial resources. Lake Ridge is not a one-size-fits-all community. We have townhomes, apartments, single-family homes with commercial properties. We've got schools all within the boundaries here. And it's incumbent upon the board to represent all those various members of Lake Ridge when the board makes decisions. And so if elected, I'd like to drive conversations pertaining to the strategic vision of our community and then put those conversations into action. It would be an honor to represent you on the board, and I would appreciate your vote. Have a happy and safe new year. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. So before we adjourn for the evening, if you will, I want to first, all of you, I want to pass along my sincere thanks for taking the opportunity and the time to run, and for all of your questions and answers, and then same to the members. Thank you for asking your questions. Hopefully you have received the information you need to. So that'll end tonight's meeting with Meet the Candidates Night. I encourage all members, so those that are listening in or those who will log online and listen, to please vote. We need a minimum membership, 10% of the membership to vote to have a viable election. So your vote certainly matters. And so now that said, I think everybody who is registered electronically should have received an email today. So if you didn't get it today and you think you should get it, if you don't have it, check your spam folder. It's being distributed by Get Quorum, and I understand some people have already voted. Check your emails. Pardon?
I already voted twice.
There's a glitch already.
It's not Chicago.
Yes, you can vote twice. So anyway,
It's in the document.
it's in the document. So anyway, so polls close at noon on February 8th, 2023, which is the day of our annual meeting. So, again, if you have any questions, please email Melissa Ferrone, who is our administrative director. Her email address can be found on the website. If you have any questions, you can certainly call the association office at 703-491-2154. Now, I'll make this one comment about paper ballots. They are and can be distributed by request via mail or walking in person to the association office, because we need to track those. We also need to track those. So with that, for those who don't have email accounts, I suspect there might be a few. But anyway, election results were going to be announced at our 51st annual meeting, at the membership meeting. That will be on Wednesday, which is February 8th at 8 p.m. at the Talos Community Center. So I hope to see you all there. And again, thank you all for coming out tonight, and have a blessed day or a blessed evening, and be safe on your way home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.